in the High Court in Pretoria for an update on the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. That's where we find our reporter, Chriselda on standby to talk to us. Chriselda, a very good morning to you. So before we get into the trial itself, let's start with those startling revelations that were made yesterday about the advocate Thulani Mngomezulu, who represents accused number 1 and 2. What more can you tell us about this?
All right, Mkolisi, I'll get to that. In fact, we'll play a clip for you by the National Prosecuting Authority. But on Friday, you would recall that we heard of an audio recording from the 5th of March 2021, which reveals that accused number 2 in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, who's Bongani Ntanzi, had basically terminated the services of his attorney, Dominic Mjiako, claiming that he wanted him to plead guilty to the murder of soccer star Senzo Meyiwa. So Ntanzi stated that as the reason why he fired Mjiako and was opting for legal aid. Of course, this is the trial within a trial, which is to determine the admissibility of alleged confessions that were made by accused number 1 and accused number 2. The court recording shows that Ntanzi's attorney, Dominic Mjiako, represented him right from the first appearance up until the 3rd court sitting, and that's where Ntanzi had fired him. The High Court previously, of course, hearing that Ntanzi said that he did not even know him. So while the state contended that Mjiako was even present when Ntanzi allegedly made his second confession, the court heard that Mjiako had written to the National Director of Public Prosecutions saying that Ntanzi had elected to use the services of legal aid, and also that there had been no payment of services from him. But Ntanzi said Mjiako should basically tell the court the truth about wanting him to plead guilty to the murder of the soccer star. Advocate George Baloyi, the state prosecutor, said that the transcripts of that recording will only be made available yesterday. So from yesterday, the legal representatives then had yesterday to peruse that document. The matter itself was postponed, you would recall, on Friday to today. But indeed, Mkolisi, yesterday, shocking details also emerging. The NPA basically confirming to SABC News that one of the Meyiwa defense lawyers, Advocate Thulani Mngomezulu, who you correctly point out represents accused number 1 and 2 in this particular trial, faces an attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, contravention of a protection order, and resisting arrest charges, this dating back to November 2022. So the complainant in that particular matter, we understand, is his wife, Dumisile Sebentile Mngomezulu, who he works with on this particular trial. She wanted to withdraw that case, we understand, from the NPA, but the prosecutorial authority felt that it needed to continue with the case. Let's take a listen to what the NPA had to say pertaining to that matter. Here's spokesperson Phindi Mjolondwana.
We can confirm as the NPA that there is an ongoing case against Mr. Mngomezulu dating back as early as November 2022. A complaint was laid by his wife against the accused for defying a protection order. So he was charged with several counts, one of contravention of the court order, assault by way of threats, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, as well as resisting an arrest. So that case has been ongoing. The accused, Mr. Mngomezulu, made attempts to lodge representations with the NPA from the level of chief prosecutor until the level of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, and all those representations from the chief prosecutor, DPP until NDPP office were rejected. This is also following a withdrawal statement that was filed by the accused wife, stating that she no longer wishes to continue with the case. But unfortunately, as the NPA, we deemed it fit and in the interest of justice to continue with the case against the accused, with the aim of protecting the wife who came to us with a complaint, and also to ensure that justice is served for the purpose of providing protection to her and the children, because the children were also involved in these alleged threats by the accused. So we deemed it fit as the NPA not to withdraw the case. And after Mr. Mngomezulu realized that the representations were unsuccessful and that the prosecution is continuing, he then approached the High Court in Pretoria for a stay of prosecution. So there is a judgment by the High Court of Pretoria that was delivered in December 2023. So in that order, the court ordered the NPA to consult with the complainant and thereafter draft a memorandum to the applicant, who's the accused person, Mr. Mngomezulu, with its decision whether or not prosecution will still continue or we will then stop his prosecution.
Okay, so that is the NPA adding its voice to this matter. Now, Chriselda, we'd be keen to also find out that what does this now mean for the trial itself, seeing that the case is still reeling from the numerous delays that we've seen. Does this in any way now throw a spanner in the works as far as the case is concerned?
Well, Mxolisi, I did pose that question to the National Prosecuting Authority yesterday, and they basically said no. Remember, this separate matter involving Thulani Mngomezulu, who's representing accused number 1 and 2, is a matter which is outside this particular case, and that matter is still before the courts. Remember what PD Mjonondwana said there is that they will be consulting with the complainant, and they should have a memorandum which will be drafted by the end of February, I understand, before the matter goes back to court in March, and a decision will be taken then after the NPA has consulted with the complainant on whether this matter will go ahead. But as it stands, those charges are still facing Thulani Mngomezulu, but it does not have a bearing on this particular case because someone is innocent until found guilty. So that particular matter is a matter which will run separately as he continues to represent accused number 1 and 2 in this particular case. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens today in light of this new information that has come to light. We'll certainly keep you updated about what transpires inside court once all the legal representatives are here, and whether at all perhaps the presiding judge might feel that he would want an audience with the defense lawyers on this particular matter. We do not know if that is going to take place here this morning. We'll certainly keep you updated, but it's a completely separate matter, them Xolisi, in that this is a matter outside of this trial that Advocate Thulani Mngomezulu is presiding in, representing accused number 1 and 2, and it's still a matter before the courts. He has not been found guilty of anything, so at this particular stage he'll continue with his representation of those 2 accused.
And Chriselda, to zone it back to those transcripts that you spoke about earlier on, and of course I understand that this also dates back to a matter back in the year 2020. Why did the defense see a need to request these transcripts? Because I know that you just touched on Advocate Baloyi here seeing the need to see those. Why did they feel there was a need to go back to those transcripts?
Well, you must remember, them Xolisi, is that accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, maintains that he does not know Dominic Mjiako. Basically, he'd never been represented by this Dominic Mjiako. But now what these transcripts show, including from the first appearance of the 5 accused that are currently before this court, it does indicate, because on the audio recording that was played inside court on Friday, you could hear Advocate George Baloyi, the state prosecutor, indicate or even say that Mjiako is present inside court representing accused number 2, who is Mbongani Ntanzi. And there was no objection at the time from Ntanzi to say, I don't know who this man is. I did not give him a mandate to represent me. But instead, what we heard from the recording of the 5th of March was where this letter which was written to the National Director of Public Prosecutions from Mjiyako, basically saying that he is no longer representing accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, but then Ntanzi then responding to say that he's fired this particular lawyer, Mjiyako, because he wanted him allegedly to plead guilty to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. So now, remember, we've already heard inside court, Bongani Ntanzi indicate that he does not know Mjiyako, but according to these records, as early as the first appearance, Mjiyako had been representing Ntanzi and had only fired him on the 5th of March, where he claimed that Mjiyako wanted him to plead guilty to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. So we're expecting very much today, in part, that to form a crucial part of the proceedings as we get underway at 10 o'clock, because the transcript, remember also that audio had been very crackled. There were aspects of that recording, audio recording, which we could not hear. Now the transcript, the written transcript, is what we will now have access to or listen to, or will be read inside court, which will detail, including the aspects that we could hear on Friday, which indicate that on the 5th of March, that is when Ntanzi had fired him. So the question is then, why fire someone whom you didn't even know? Let's wait for the court to ventilate that when that transcript is placed on the record inside court this morning. 10 o'clock, also on the SABC YouTube page. Viewers can catch it there.